Ren's lab smelled like burned copper and desperation. Version 2 of the dampener occupied most of his workbench, a crystalline lattice wrapped in salvaged wire, the whole assembly pulsing with soft blue light. Unlike its predecessor's chaotic appearance, this iteration looked almost elegant, if elegance could be achieved through necessity and sleepless nights. Hungry? Ren asked without looking up from his calibrations. Kael's stomach twisted with dark irony. The word meant something different now than it had a week ago. 15% and climbing. Then we test it. Ren's stylus danced across his tablet, finalizing calculations that looked like arcane formulas. But this time we have an observer. The lab door opened with military precision. Sable entered wearing her dress uniform, golden hair pulled back in regulation braids that caught the dampener's light. Her presence filled the cramped space with authority that made both boys straighten unconsciously. Cadet Voss insisted on overseeing. Ren's tone carried diplomatic neutrality. For safety purposes. Sable's sharp gaze fixed on the device. I want to see what this alleged suppression looks like. And I want to witness these stolen abilities you claim to possess. The challenge in her voice was unmistakable. 6 days remained on her ultimatum, and she intended to use them gathering evidence. Whether that evidence would condemn or exonerate him depended entirely on what happened next. Put this on. Ren handed Kael a modified chest rig bristling with sensors. Heart rate, neural activity, cellular resonance. If anything spikes dangerously, I'm shutting it down. The harness felt like wearing his own execution device. Kael fastened the straps with fingers that trembled slightly, hyper-aware of Sable watching his every movement. Her expression revealed nothing, but tension radiated from her like heat. Activating in 3, 2, 1. The dampener's hum shifted to a higher frequency. Power flowed through the crystalline matrix, and something fundamental in Kael's neural architecture recoiled. Pain lanced behind his eyes as the constant stream of system notifications wavered, flickered, then muted to barely audible whispers. Hunger, 15/100. The text grew fainter. Hunger, 14/100. External interference detected. Compensating. Then blessed silence. The targeting overlays vanished from his vision. The constant classification of every person around him faded. For the first time in days, Kael could look at Sable and see just another cadet instead of a walking repository of power waiting to be harvested. How do you feel? Ren monitored readouts on multiple screens, stylus tracing patterns across biometric data. Human. The word escaped like a prayer answered. Relief flooded through him so completely that his knees nearly buckled. God, Ren, the quiet is beautiful. Sable stepped closer, her expression shifting from suspicion to scientific curiosity. Show me. The abilities you claim to have stolen. Kael closed his eyes, reaching inward for Marcus Webb's fragment of Weaver power. Without the system's constant interface, accessing the stolen abilities felt like groping through darkness. But eventually, he found it, a thin thread of molecular manipulation that responded to his will. He picked up a bent paperclip from Ren's desk. Power flowed through his fingers, not his own but borrowed from someone whose dreams he'd shattered. Metal bonds loosened, reformed, straightened into perfect geometry. Minor weave. His voice carried shame alongside demonstration. Taken from Marcus Webb. He can barely light candles now because of me. Sable's breath caught. The paperclip in his palm was absolutely straight, its molecular structure realigned with precision that should have required years of training. Non-resonance didn't develop abilities. They certainly didn't steal them from others. Show me the other one. The signal pulse came easier, maybe because it had been taken from an enemy instead of a friend. Kael extended his awareness, sending out a focused burst of resonance that painted the room in frequencies visible to his enhanced perception. Ren appeared as a blank void, powerless but brilliant with technological innovation. Sable blazed like a golden star, her conductor abilities radiating strength that made his teeth ache. The pulse faded, leaving echoes that tasted like copper and ozone. Impossible. Sable's clinical facade cracked, revealing genuine bewilderment beneath. Non-resonance can't access the resonance field. They lack the cellular modifications. Even if you somehow developed abilities spontaneously, you shouldn't be able to copy fragments of other people's power. Yet here we are. Kael set the straightened paperclip on the workbench like evidence in his own trial. A powerless cadet doing impossible things. Ren cleared his throat diplomatically. The dampener's working. Hunger suppression at approximately 60% efficiency. Battery life. He consulted his tablet. 28 minutes before it needs recharging. 28 minutes of being human again. Kael looked at both of them, his best friend and his reluctant judge. It's not a cure, but it's hope. Sable studied the dampener with the same intensity she'd once reserved for zone artifacts. What are you calling it? Ren grinned with the satisfaction of an inventor naming his creation. The quieter. It makes the noise stop. As if summoned by the name, a notification flickered across Kael's vision. Faint but unmistakably present despite the dampener's interference. I am more than a system. We need to talk. For the first time, it had used the word I.